Hello, my name is Mega, Nancy Buttenheim, founding director of Let Your Yoga Dance. I'm a 30-year teacher trainer at Kripalu Center, and I'm on the faculty for Tal Ben-Shahar's certification in positive psychology. The title of this piece is Inspired Choices. I've been thinking a lot recently about choices. I was wondering if you've ever thought what your biggest life choice has been. For me, it's kind of a no-brainer. In the summer of 1984, I made a choice. I made a 30-day choice to turn my back on my acting career in New York City. And I chose to move to a yoga ashram, which is a spiritual community, called the Kripalu Center for Yoga and Health in Western Massachusetts. And there I became a spiritual lifestyle trainee for the month of August. Well, that month became 12 years. And when the ashram ended, I chose to continue to do the work that I had learned and created while there. 30 years later, here I stand, still at it. That's quite a choice, I think. So I'm going to tell you now a short story, a moving story, a story that moves, about 5 things that I learned at the ashram under the umbrella of SPIRE. SPIRE is an acronym created by the Whole Being Institute of Positive Psychology. SPIRE stands for these 5 words: spiritual, physical, intellectual, relational, and emotional. SPIRE is like a consciousness toolkit. It helps create healthy choices by looking at our choices from a spiritual perspective. That could be, for example, gratitude. From a physical perspective, how does the body feel when thinking about that choice? From an intellectual perspective, in other words, what research can I do? How can I dig a little deeper into this choice? From a relational, from other point of view. And finally, from the heart. How does my heart feel when I think about this choice? So for me, SPIRE is like wrapping paper. When I wrap SPIRE around my choices, I get a gift. My life can become more authentic, more mindful, and sometimes happier. So I realized that SPIRE wasn't even invented when I lived in the ashram and had these learnings. But when I look back, I can see that even then, my choices were indeed informed by these 5 elements. So I let go of my theater career and I helped build Premier Yoga and Holistic Health Center. So I hope that my story will illustrate some ways to bring more mindfulness and awareness to your choices. So let's begin with S, spiritual. Living at the ashram was a 24/7 spiritual event. Why? Because we were asked to practice karma yoga, the yoga of selfless service. And as an actor, I had constantly asked the question, what can you do for me? But at the ashram, that question got flipped upside down on its head. And instead I asked the question, what can I do for you? I loved that question. I wanted to live that question. I wanted to serve others. And so I did. That is the spiritual aspect of SPIRE. Then there's the physical, P. Living in the ashram for my body was heaven. Twice daily yoga. moving meditation, letting my yoga dance. Physical. Intellectual. Evening gatherings, studying the ancient codes of conduct, the yamas and niyamas, or listening to tales of scripture from India. But more importantly, I was left alone to dig and plant and grow my garden of grace into a tree of creativity. Intellectual. Relational. We were an ashram dedicated to the heart of compassion, finding compassion first in our own hearts, compassion in the hearts of one another, and in the 20,000 guests that annually walked through our doors for healing. Relational. And finally, E, emotional. We were trained to refrain from grasping onto pleasure and pushing away pain, but instead to hold our emotions lightly, finding delight, resilience in the more tough emotions and joy in the lovely ones. E, emotional. So there's my dance of 5 learnings from the ashram under the umbrella of Spire. And it created an upward spiral of energy that grounded me in Mother Earth, becoming a roadmap for consciousness. I know it's not common for a 30-day choice to become a 30-year life. And it really makes me wonder, what have your biggest life choices been? And perhaps you're inspired to use Spire in your choices. As Tal Ben-Shahar likes to teach, in every moment we have a choice. And for me, when I infuse my choices with Spire, I know I'm dancing in the right direction. So, at this time, would you just let your eyes close and begin to take some long, deep breaths? And we'll do a little experiment on choosing with Spire. So as you breathe deeply, consider bringing into your awareness now a choice that you're about to make. It might be this week or next week. It could be a little choice. It could be a really big choice. And as you breathe, begin to wrap Spire around that potential choice. In other words, can you look at this choice from a spiritual perspective? From a physical perspective, how does your body feel when you think about making this particular choice? From an intellectual perspective, where can you dig? Where can you get a little more creative? Maybe do a little more research. And how does the choice feel from a relational perspective, from the perspective of others? And finally, from your heart, how do you feel in your heart about this choice? And keep breathing deeply, making an inspired choice. And then when you're ready, let your eyes slowly come open. And may all your choices be inspired. Namaste. Hakuna Matata. Less worries, be happier.